Good afternoon. My name is Andy Hallman. Spring sports are starting to heat up in Southeast Iowa, but first, today's top stories. After 31 years of service with the Mount Pleasant Fire Department, Fire Chief Drew Schumacher will pass the title on to Senior Captain Anthony Blint next week. This past January, the Mount Pleasant City Council accepted Schumacher's resignation from the position effective March 31st, and this month it approved Blint's application to fill the role effective April 1st. While Blint doesn't have Schumacher's 31 years of experience, he has served with the Mount Pleasant Fire Department for the last 22 years. During that time, Blint says he worked his way up through the ranks of firefighter to the role of officer and eventually assistant chief. According to Blint, his adventure into the fire service began in the early 2000s when a coworker with the state of Iowa invited him to see if he might like being a firefighter. Blint said that being a firefighter was not even on his radar back then, but he discovered that he really enjoyed serving his community in this way and has stuck with it ever since. The Henry County Board of Supervisors passed the first reading of an ordinance that establishes a temporary moratorium on rezoning land for commercial wind energy use. The resolution, which supervisors stated was written by the county attorney, would establish a temporary moratorium on the rezoning of any land to the alternative overlay district through March 2nd of next year. According to the resolution, this is to allow the Henry County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Henry County Board of Supervisors adequate time to further consider proposed changes to the current alternative energy systems. If passed, this resolution means wind energy companies will not be able to apply for needed rezoning permits until the moratorium expires or the supervisors vote to end the moratorium. Pekin Superintendent Derek Phillips has resigned his post effective immediately and will be on paid administrative leave now through the end of June. When reached for comment, Phillips told the union that he had been advised by his attorney not to speak to the media. The Pekin Community School District Board of Directors accepted Phillips's resignation at its meeting on Monday, March 25th. In a message posted to the school district's Facebook page Tuesday, Phillips stated, "I want to thank the many staff, families, students, and community members who have supported me in my 2 years at Pekin. I have met some of the most amazing people here that I will greatly miss. My family and I look forward to the next chapter. I am committed to making the transition as smooth as possible." In that same post, the school board thanked Phillips for his service and many contributions to the district and wished him well in his future endeavors. In a follow-up message, the school board stated that during the interim period while the district is without a superintendent, Great Prairie Area Education Agency will provide short-term superintendent services to Pekin. Now, Phillips is in his second year as Pekin's superintendent. In December of 2022, after working for the district for just half a year, the school district agreed to a 3-year deal with Phillips to extend his contract through June of 2026. The top female pool players in the world descended on Fairfield last week for the Women's Professional Billiard Association's Fairfield Invitational, held at the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center. The 4-day tournament from March 21st through 24th saw 47 of the game's best pool sharks compete for the first place trophy and the $6,500 prize money that went to the winner. This year's event pitted two new faces in the final, Christina Zlateva against Mengxia Hung. In her first ever appearance at the Fairfield Invitational, Hung won the 9-ball tournament, defeating Zlateva 10 games to 6. Third place went to Allison Fisher, and fourth place went to Brittany Bryant. Fairfield resident Darren Hamilton, who not only organized this event, but is also the vice president of the WPBA, said he was pleased with the attendance, which grows every year. Though he did not have a final tally on the number of tickets sold, he said this year's attendance was greater than last year's event, and that event had an attendance 4 times greater than the Fairfield Invitational's first year in 2019. Not only does this event generate revenue for Fairfield businesses and raise the profile of the city, it also generates funds for a local charity, the Fairfield Kiwanis Club. Through a friendly Pro-Am event on the first night of the tournament, the event raised nearly $1,700 for the Fairfield Kiwanis Club. The University of Iowa Healthcare is preparing to sell its recently acquired clinic in Kalona to Washington County hospitals and clinics, according to a joint news release from the two medical providers issued on Wednesday. The move means Kalona area residents will continue to have a local healthcare provider, according to WCHC CEO Todd Patterson. Patterson said WCHC expected to have one doctor's contract for the location signed by the end of this week and would have the provider working there as early as we can. He added that some internal staff had expressed interest in relocating to the facility as well, and that the organization would hire any other needed nurses and front desk staff. Patterson declined to comment on the price of the sale, but said funding for the purchase came from grants and private hospital foundation gifts rather than from the hospital itself. He said the majority of that money was already lined up. The property sale price will eventually become public in a Board of Regents report. The Washington County GIS system says the Iowa Board of Regents paid $250,000 for the property when it was transferred from Mercy Facilities, Inc. in January. The Family Medical Clinic, built in 1971, was formerly owned by Mercy, which filed for bankruptcy in August after several years of financial trouble. The university won an auction for the company's assets last year. Write-in candidate Scott Hughes has appeared to edge out a win in a special election in the Brighton City Council held Tuesday night in a 59-57 tally, according to unofficial results released by the Washington County Auditor's Office. Hughes, a former council member and mayor, ran against Kathy Rich, who lost a re-election bid in 2023, but was reappointed to the municipal decision-making body after Dave McCarter resigned and moved out of town. When the city moved to hold an election for the remainder of the term, county officials said Hughes' candidacy paperwork was not properly submitted, leaving the former council member and mayor's name off the ballot Tuesday night. The race heated up when Hughes got an endorsement from the city's fire department, which has repeatedly sparred with Rich over its funding in the last several years while the city grappled with shrinking tax revenue. A dispute over the firefighters' funding went public in 2022 and continued to sow distrust between city officials and department volunteers, who threatened to stop answering service calls in the city and even threatened to quit en masse several times until a compromise was struck and a fire advisory board was established in 2023. While the results are unofficial, Washington County Auditor Dan Widmer said he expected a slightly greater margin of victory for Hughes once the votes are canvassed by county supervisors. And that's because several of the 5 write-in votes listed as scattering on unofficial results appeared to be misspellings of Hughes's name. Those are today's top stories. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll hear about all the spring sports heating up in Southeast Iowa.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Welcome back to Newsbreak. This is your sports editor, Andy Kretzinger, with your sports report for March 28th, 2024, a Thursday. And the Southeast Iowa Union has just released its final winter sports all-union team. The first ever all-union girls wrestling team. Of course, this is the second year that girls wrestling has been sanctioned in the state of Iowa. And so I'm going to read you off some of the nominees. First off, Coach Randy Billups from Mid-Prairie, after getting a trio to the state tournament this year, is our first coach of the year in girls wrestling. And our captain is 115-pound state champion Rihanna Utterback from Sigourney, Keota. Other girls to make the list: Abigail Derflinger of Cardinal, Riley Rice of Waco. We got Angelina Rolling from Highland. We got Ashley Ferrier of Mid Prairie, Haley Peter from Pekin, Ellie Brenneman from Mid Prairie, Leela Miller from Pekin, Josie Nelson from Columbus WMU, Asia Cox from Cardinal, Lisette Correz from Columbus WMU, Samantha Lyons of Fairfield, Ellie Callahan of Mid Prairie, and Shelby Stacy of Mid Prairie. That wraps up our all-union teams, winter teams. If you grab a Southeast Iowa Union, you can go ahead and see all those all-union teams. They've been running for the last 2 weeks, so any Tuesday or Thursday of the last 2 weeks. And speaking of stories in the Southeast Iowa Union, got a little feature on former Waco Prep Ella Kissel, who was a star Waco girls basketball player, graduated in the spring of 2023. She plays for the Kirkwood Eagles now, and Kirkwood just won the national championship of the National Junior College Division II women's basketball tournament. Kissel and the Eagles blew through the tournament, winning all 4 of their games by double digits. Got a story in the Southeast Iowa Union if you want to read about that. We are finally getting deep into the spring sports schedule. We have a packed schedule today. Mount Pleasant will host their first track meet. That's tonight, Thursday, the 28th, and that will start at 4:30. Washington and Fairfield will both be there. It'll be a lot of bigger schools. Also going tonight, Mount Pleasant has home tennis and home soccer. Fairfield has home soccer and home tennis, and Washington has home soccer. So tonight, all 3 of our big towns have spring sports happening in them. And the golfers, by the way, are at Keokuk, all of them in the SEC at Elks Fairview Golf Club for a tournament that begins today. That's the boys. That is first SEC boys meet of the year. And those golfers will go to every SEC town every Thursday until the schedule is over. We had a few soccer games happen on Tuesday. The weather really took out a lot of them. But in boys soccer, Danville New London opens with a 7-1 win over Keokuk. Mid Prairie holds off Highland at 2-1. Columbus WMU falls 4-0 to West Liberty. Sigourney Kyoto falls 3-0 to PCM. And in girls, the Columbus WMU Wildcats fall 4-0 to West Liberty. That's all we had on Tuesday. A lot of rainouts, including boys and girls track meets supposed to be in West Burlington. Neither of them got ran because of the cold weather, but it looks like we'll have some action tonight. That's it for the sports. When we get back to news break, Alex will bring you your obituaries.
In the heart of rural Iowa, where community matters most, the connections we make are made to last. Meet KCTC, your hometown internet, phone, and TV provider. At KCTC, we're not just about technology, we're about people. Our dedicated team are your neighbors, committed to bringing you top-tier services right where you live. We believe in giving back to the community that raised us. Experience the power of a real connection with KCTC. Join us in building a stronger, more connected Southeast.
Hello and welcome back to Newsbreak. It is now time for your obituaries. Charlotte May Fleeg of Fairfield passed away on March 21st at the age of 80. Craig Allen Manning of Brighton passed away on March 25th at the age of 69. Funeral services celebrating his life will be held at 10:30 a.m. March 29th at the Hope Lutheran Church in Germanville. Gerald Joseph Jerry Horak of Asheville, North Carolina, passed away on March 3rd at the age of 83. Marie Anna Hammis of Fairfield passed away on March 24th at the age of 104. Funeral services will be held at 10:30 a.m. April 2nd at the St. Mary Catholic Church. Shirley Ann Fleming Brobston of Fairfield passed away on March 26th at the age of 76. Graveside services will be held at 10:30 a.m. March 30th at Maple Hill Cemetery. Sandra L. Sandy Burns of Washington passed away on March 22nd at the age of 84. A funeral service will be held at 11:30 a.m. March 28th at the Jones and Eden Funeral Home. Scott Lee Witchhart of Mount Pleasant passed away on March 24th at the age of 55. A celebration of life will be held on March 30th at 1 p.m. at the Murphy Funeral Home in Mount Pleasant. That is the news for Southeast Iowa. I've been your Alex Snyder. This has been your news break, and I will see you next time.